Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Speed Networking seminar here. This is the particular seminar for bloggers, and we're doing this in preparation for the TBEX Ireland event here in 2017. We're going to do a separate webinar for the companies. Everybody's welcome to come, but that's going to be focusing on what they need to know. We're going to do that on September 18th. A couple key dates to remember. September 18th is when we're going to do the seminar for companies. So if you are wondering why companies haven't gotten a hold of you yet, I wouldn't panic about it before the 18th. Some companies take a little while. Some will jump right in as soon as we open up speed networking, which is not today. It is September 5th. September 5th, we're going to open up the speed networking, and you're going to be able to start booking appointments, or start requesting appointments, I should say. And we're going to show you how to do that today. We're going to do three things today. Well, four things really. One, we're going to talk about how to set up your profile and make sure you're ready for speed networking. Two, and that you can do today, potentially. We're going to talk about a little caveat there, one of the things that can go wrong. And then two is we're going to talk about speed networking and the process of speed networking. Three, we're going to give you just a little information about BloggerBridge outside of speed networking, because BloggerBridge runs 365 days a year and is not TBEX, and TBEX is not BloggerBridge. They're two separate companies that we work fairly closely together, wouldn't you say, Michelle?
Yes, very closely.
Michelle is from TBEX, and I am Chris Christensen from BloggerBridge. And then we're going to talk also about things that can go wrong. And the reason we're going to do that is to save you some time and save me a lot of time in terms of what's going to happen in terms of support. But let me tell you, the first thing right off the bat in terms of support is if you ever have a question about BloggerBridge and you're not sure what to do, down here in the lower left-hand corner is a Contact BloggerBridge button. And this button will either send an email or it will send a live chat, depending on whether BloggerBridge is online. Okay, well, let's get started. So first of all, the first thing that you need to know, and the first thing that's going to confuse you here, is there are two different websites, tbex.bloggerbridge.com and bloggerbridge.com, and you have the same account and the same login and the same password and the same profile on both websites, but as far as your browser is concerned, they are two different websites. And I tell you that because there's going to be a place where you're going to run into that. So when I go into the system, I'm going to say, hey, I want to log into my BloggerBridge account, and it's going to log me in. And we're going to talk about how you're going to get password in a little bit. But when the speed networking is live, there's going to be, and this is going to be again September 5th, there's going to be an extra tab here that's going to say TBEX 2014 or TBEX 2017 or TBEX Ireland. I can't remember exactly what it says, but we'll see that in a moment when we switch to the non-live site. And when I click on that, that is going to send me to tbex.bloggerbridge.com. And the first thing that I'm going to notice is that it's going to tell me I'm not logged in. You're going to say, hey, I was logged in, but this is a different website. So this is the first thing that's going to confuse you, is you're going to have to log in again because now you've gone to a different website. So you're going to log in, it's the same password, and then you're going to be logged in and everything's going to be fine. So, oh, actually I did want to show you one more thing before we leave the actual website and go over to my development website, which has everything turned on and ready for speed networking. A couple instructions here. One is, don't register for an account. If you are new to TBEX and to BloggerBridge, don't register an account. Wait for September 5th. We will create an account for you using the email that you registered for TBEX. This is very important. This is the number one thing that people are going to get wrong about. The number one thing that's going to cost both you and I time is that you will only be activated in the TBEX speed networking with the account, with the email that you use to register for TBEX. If you have multiple accounts in the system, you're going to get a contact from me that says, hey, you've got multiple accounts, I'm going to delete one. Which one do you want to delete? But I want to avoid that by don't register for an account if you haven't already got one. Wait until September 5th. If you do have an account already in TBEX, in BloggerBridge, when we import your registration, there's two separate companies, two separate databases. We will import the database on September 4th. We will send an email to everyone who already had an account, and we'll say, this is the email you used to register for TBEX. This is the email, the only email that will work to get in and do speed networking. It will say, if you thought you were using a different account, contact me and I'll give you information about that. But again, don't register for an account if you don't already have one. Wait till after September 4th and we will create one for you. Okay? And then also, we're not going to choose a password for you. You're going to choose it yourself. And so basically, when we register an account for you, we're going to say just click the Forgot Password button and set your password. Because we don't keep track of passwords. The passwords are encrypted in the system. I can never tell you what your password is. Okay. So let's talk about account creation. I am logged in right now as my specific user. Am I logged in? Yes. I'm going to go here to my profile and talk about how to get ready for TBEX speed networking. The first thing that a company is going to see when they go to you is they're going to see this bio. And so the first thing you should update is update this bio, and you can do this here by doing update profile. And in the bio here, you could put information about you and think about what makes you stand out. You are basically doing your pitch, and this is not just for TBEX, this is your bio on BloggerBridge. So I wouldn't start it with, hey, I'm here at TBEX 4, because this is going to be used 365 days of the year for companies who are looking for you. So just for you in general, what makes you stand out? What awards have you won? What have you done that other people haven't done? What do you do that's different from other people? And so this is my sample profile here. Here's some awards that I've won. I do a blog and a podcast, blah, blah, blah. And I've also done some other things here. And here's some things that make it, and keep it relatively short. It doesn't have to be the same as your about. You can link to different things. You can say, hey, go over here if you want to see my about on my profile. Again, number one thing, you're going to want a bio. Second thing, you're going to want to put in your social media. We're going to see how the users are going to see, how the companies are going to see that in a little bit. But you can add in your different accounts here. We only keep track of followers for places that allow us to. So we keep track of the number of followers you have on your Facebook page, but not your Facebook profile, because Facebook does not share those. We keep track of followers on your Google+, your Instagram, your Pinterest, and your Twitter accounts. You can, like me, have multiple Twitter accounts if you do. And then you also keep track of total views on your YouTube account if you have one of those. To add a new one, you just go in here, you say create account, and you say what type of account it is, and then you name the account, and then for the URL, literally go to where your account is. If it's facebook.com, if it's facebookamateurtraveler.com, go here and paste in that profile. Paste in that URL. The number one thing you're going to screw up here is you're going to try and put in something like amateur traveler. Well, that is not a URL. This is a URL. Okay? So just paste it in from wherever you are. Sorry, Vitaly, I can't talk right now. Let's get out of Skype. So that's one thing to do. Then you're going to put in your social media accounts here. And then also, if you're a blogger, which is kind of the point of being at TBEX, then you want to make sure that we know about your blogs in the system. By default, we may have no blogs in here at all for you, in which case you want to do add new blog. You can have multiple blogs if you have multiple blogs. So for instance, I have the Amateur Traveler site. I also have Tourism Marketing Consulting and This Week in Travel. So you can have multiple blogs if you have them. This is not blog posts. This is actual blogs. There's at least one person right now who is suspended in BloggerBridge because they kept putting in blog posts and kept ignoring me when I told them not to. So just add in the blogs that you own. Again, you're going to have a little description here of what this is. So when you go to add new blog, it's going to say, tell me a little bit about this blog. And then it's also going to ask you the URL for it. You can put in a logo, that's optional. What language do you blog in? What year did you start? If it's a podcast, put a checkbox there. So then you're going to tag the blog. You'll notice here it says, I blog about rather, these sorts of things. Down here, at the bottom here, you can edit those tags. And so if I go over here and say, I'm going to edit the tags for Amateur Traveler, it's going to bring up a page rather. that is going to take not quite this long when we're on the real system. We're on a dev system right now. This is not the real BloggerBridge. And it's going to bring up a list of blogs in a hierarchical list. And so we're going to say in site topics, for instance, we're going to make sure that we've clicked all of the appropriate things for what type of travel we do. One key thing to know is that when you're at tbex.bloggerbridge.com and you edit this, you're only going to get travel site topics. If you edit your profile at bloggerbridge.com, which is what I would recommend, you're going to see many other topics available. You may blog about things that are not travel related, like lifestyle. Many of you do. So don't do this at tbex.bloggerbridge.com. Edit your blog at bloggerbridge.com. And so I'm just going to check those. I can only check 20. That's the maximum number of things. Yep, Michelle.
Chris, real quick, while you're on the about the social media stuff, we have a question.
Yep.
Does it update my followers automatically, daily, weekly, or monthly?
Monthly. Is it monthly or weekly? I think what we do is every time a company looks at this page of yours, we make sure that the followers have been updated within the last week.
All right, so it's weekly, people.
Yep. If you go to this, well, it isn't all bloggers all weeks, but every time you look at this page, it's updated within the week. So just before speed networking, I would just go look at your own page, and it will update. Okay.
Right. Another quick question, Chris. A lot of people might be wondering this. Since it's not my first TBEX, I already have a TBEX account as well, but I think I've used a different email to register this year. How will that mess things up?
You can't come. Sorry. Maybe next time. Contact me. We'll straighten that out. But yes, please in the future always use the same email.
Yes.
We'll merge the accounts and we'll fix it. But contact me after the 4th when we have all of them imported, because I need to know from, since BloggerBridge is not TBEX and TBEX is not BloggerBridge, I need to know from TBEX that you're actually registered. And after the 4th, that'll be obvious because I'll find your account that has that there. So contact me after the 4th. Or contact TBEX before the 4th and just get your email changed in the registration.
All right, one more question, then I'll have you continue. From Daniel, what if I am a freelance promotional video producer? I assume I'll just skip the blog URL, make sure the portfolio is uploaded for the instance YouTube, and include only that URL.
If you have no blog, don't include a blog. That's fairly obvious. There are going to be disadvantages in terms of people, because people are looking for bloggers in many cases, and so things like page views will be one of the ways that they will filter, but if you have no blog, you can't put in a blog.
Okay, wonderful. All right, Chris, go ahead. I'll stop you again when I need to. Thank you.
And then I'm going to go over here actually to the real BloggerBridge here for a second, because I want to do something with Google Analytics. You'll see that my Google Analytics are actually showing here. One thing to know is these do not show to other bloggers, they only show to companies. So they'll show to the companies in speed networking, or they'll show to the companies who have paid to get access to BloggerBridge. But one of the ways to give the companies the information that they want is to add your Google Analytics. The way you do that, I'm going to actually just remove mine here and then re-add them, which always makes me just a little nervous. So I've unauthorized my Google Analytics. I'm going to reauthorize. I'm going to actually use this. There's two buttons here. One is authorize Google Analytics. I'm going to use the one to the right here, which is the beta version. This is a new version since the last time we've done speed networking. And this makes it just a little easier. It basically is going to ask me to log into my Google account, my Google Analytics account. Whoops, I've already logged in. And so because of that, it skipped that step, and then it went in here and it found the URL for this particular blog, and then it just looked at my Google Analytics, found the thing there, and added them. So this is the version that works better. If your blog here does not have the same URL that Google actually thinks your blog does, then you won't be able to add it. So you can go over here and you can adjust what the URL is for your blog to make it match. And we'll tell you what Google says. Google says, I am only seeing blogs with these particular URLs. You can go in here and make sure that this URL, oh, sorry, you can't edit the URL. So you'll just delete this blog and add a different one with the correct URL. But that button should make adding Google Analytics much easier than it was in the past. So I hope people will try that and let me know if they run into any problems. If you do have a podcast, as I do, podcast stats are currently self-reported. So you said you had a podcast, and then you go in here every month and you update your podcast stats. That's what we want to know about your blog. That's really all you have to do. There's other information here like your moz.com domain URL, which is a number from 0 to 100. We will talk to Moz and we will calculate that. Every page on the internet has that. There's nothing you can do to change that, or your Alexa rank. We will just go and find those for you. The other thing that you can add in terms of your profile is your schedule. And so your schedule here is where you're going to be, and that is going to be less useful for speed networking, but very useful for BloggerBridge the other 365 days of the year. As a company, I can put in I can watch a specific place on the planet. So some of our sponsors, for instance, at TBEX, like Context Travel is usually there. They're watching 10 different cities in the globe at a given time. And if you schedule a trip there, you may get an email from them that says, hey, I see you're coming to Sydney, Australia. We've got a tour here. I wonder if you'd be interested in trying it out. So put in your schedule and you'll start to get emails from people offering you cool things. So that's the reason to put it in. A little less relevant for speed networking per se. The easiest way to add this is to, even with a free TripIt account, you can do, normally I would say authorize, but this is my actual account here, so I'm already authorized. If you authorize your TripIt account to share information with BloggerBridge, we will update your schedule automatically from your TripIt account. And I use TripIt to keep track of my schedule in general, so it's a very useful tool, and even the free tool will work with BloggerBridge. We will import every night what your schedule is. I highly recommend that. And then the most, probably the next important page in your profile is examples. And there's no specific category of things that we recommend in here, but I've put in here, for instance, things like samples of, here's a couple samples of podcasts that I've done, here's some awards that I've won, some information about them, here's some hotel reviews, some sample This Week in Travel episodes. So basically, give people an idea what you do. To add a new one, you just do new web page. And then those categories that you saw, like This Week in Travel episodes and such, you choose your own categories, and then you choose the title, the URL, and the description. And so they look like this. This is the category, the title, the URL is where it links to, and then this is the description. And so you can fairly simply add in additional information about people in your examples tab. If you don't add an examples tab, you just won't have one. And so add examples of my work is how you do that. That's all the information we have in terms of updating your profile. Questions about that, because we're about to go on to speed networking.
I do have one
question. Be even faster. Yeah.
One question, Chris from a blogger. She says it is my first TBEX, and I am a relatively new blogger, around a year. Is it still worth me presenting my details?
Yes. So, and here's a couple things to know. If you are a new blogger, you will get less appointments at speed networking than people who are an established blogger. The companies are looking for people who do have more experience and who do have a better track record. Let's just say that up front. The speed networking appointments are not equally distributed, and the companies will be looking at all the information we're giving them to filter out some people. So that's just true. In fact, in this particular speed networking, there's a new feature that the companies have requested where they can where you will not be able to invite yourself to some companies if you don't have a certain number of page views, or if you don't have a certain number of social media followers, or whatever they choose. You may find some companies that simply won't accept an invitation. But, and here's the big but there is, that does not mean you cannot meet with those companies. Speed networking is 4 hours of the show, but the sponsors will be sitting at their tables for other times during the show, as well as being available at the parties. And so what you will find is that there will be other opportunities to introduce yourself to them. It's just at speed networking, if you're just getting started, you may have trouble getting appointments there. Just expect that. That's fine. If you're just getting started, I would still say absolutely talk to companies and start working on your pitch. What makes you different? You may, in fact, get start some conversations that will lead someplace. You may not, but you need to get in the practice of how are you going to pitch yourself and learn what works and what doesn't work. And you're not going to have as many appointments if you're just getting started. Don't worry about that. It's absolutely still going to have a chance to talk to a number of different companies, as well as talk to a number of different bloggers and things like that. You're still going to find it a worthwhile experience. But yeah, you're going to have a little more trouble if you're just getting started. Don't worry about that. We all just got started at some point.
Absolutely. That's wonderful advice. Thanks, Chris. Real quick from a photographer. If
Yep.
you are a photographer, should I include my Smug Mug portfolio?
Sure. I would put a link to your SmugMug portfolio in your bio, and then probably also put it over here in your examples. Maybe in your examples even a little more detail. Like, I do photography about different destinations. Here's a link to my photography from San Miguel de Allende, and here's a link to my photography from Siem Reap or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. If you're a photographer, then the examples of your work are photography.
All right.
Any other questions?
No, I think you can keep going, and I'll keep going through these questions as they come in. Thanks, everyone.
Great. So when you have, after September 5th, when we've turned on the TBEX speed networking, again, this button will show up that says TBEX Europe 2017. If I click over there, that's where you're going to see the specific functionality for speed networking. Everything we've shown you so far is not speed networking. It is just BloggerBridge in general, but also applicable for speed networking. So with speed networking, this is what it's going to look like. We're going to have two different sets of speed networking, one October 4th, one on October 5th, and they're going to be, 12 different time slots. The time slots are 10 minutes long, with 2 minutes of that 10 minutes being walking to the next place. So it's really 8-minute segments. So this is not a long, involved conversation. That's why it's called speed networking. And so you're going to walk up to people, you're going to spend roughly 4 minutes, 3 minutes doing a pitch. So you're going to get ready for your elevator pitch. My elevator pitch would be, for instance, I'm Chris Christensen. I do Amateur Traveler blog and podcast. It's 12 years old. I have won a Lowell Thomas Award, a Smitty Award from Travel and Leisure, and the Best Independent Travel Journalist. And if you go to get a job with the Thailand Foreign Ministry, you'll be required to listen to 2 episodes of Amateur Traveler and will be graded on your understanding of the English as part of the English proficiency exam. At that point, I usually have people's attention. So something that short, but that is about you and what makes you different from the other 600 bloggers who will be at the conference or something like that. So what will make you stand out and be memorable? So you're going to have a little time there to go, and then you're going to listen to them and what are they looking for? Do a little research. Don't just invite every company, but you're going to have a chance to start a conversation. You're not going to have a time to close a deal. This is not what this is. This is introductions. Who do I want to follow up with? These are the companies that are currently, oops, I forgot to do something. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. I'm on my dev system here, so things are going to look a little weird if I don't do something first.
Are you also teaching us how to code right now, Chris?
Yes, yes, that was a Unix command line. I was just, I'm trying to make it so that the logos here would show up, but never mind. I won't worry about that right now. There will be logos here before, but we're not in the real system, and so I didn't have all the logos. So these are companies that are all currently registered for the actual event. And so we can see that there's some set of companies like Booking.com, some set of destinations like Costa Brava, a mixing of things, some local companies like Horse Racing Ireland, Hidden Ireland. If you go into a specific company, let's choose one like Tourism Ireland, there should be more information about the company. Some companies don't have a lot of information, and despite the fact that Tourism Ireland is our host and has been to TBEX many times, They strangely enough don't have a description, but just so you know, they're about tourism in Ireland. And when you look at the company name here, you can invite yourself. You can send them a message also and say, you know, hey, this is why you should meet with me, but the invitation is very simple. The invitation is, I would like to meet with you. You press that, you have now sent them an invitation. You're going to go through and look at the companies that you think were interesting, that you think you are interesting to, and you're going to invite them. That's the first part of speed networking. So let me show you the second part. I'm going to invite BloggerBridge here because I own both parts of that. And then we're going to get into BloggerBridge in speed networking over here. Oops, I didn't do that. Oh well. And see that if I refresh here, what happened to them is they both got an email that said, hey, you got an invitation. So if I go jump to my email here for a second, we should see an email show up that says, you received an invitation, speed networking invitation. So you'll get these from companies. Companies will get these from you. They can either click accept invitation here. You're going to have the same sort of thing, or you can look at the invitations you have received. They're going to see this information about you. It's like, hey, I got invited by Chris. Well, Chris, that is a handsome-looking man. That's what they're first going to think. But then they're going to say, well, what's his domain authority? What's his monthly traffic? So this is the kind of information they're going to have about you. They can click through from your social media and say, you know, let me see whether his Instagram pictures are lovely. Well, that is, in fact, a good-looking man. And I love where he has been. It looks like he's been interesting places. So they're going to do that, and then clearly at that point, they're going to accept the invitation. And when they accept the invitation, if the company accepts the invitation, they will schedule it. If you accept their invitation, then you will schedule it. So whoever accepts will schedule. They will see a list here of all the different times that you have open and they have open. Right now, both schedules are wide open, so everything says choose. Eventually, some of these will, for instance, if I choose this time, then that slot would no longer be available. And so that would not, at some point, companies may, if you're popular, some companies may not have times that will match with you, or if the company is popular. And so there will be just no time. In fact, they won't get a schedule option. It'll just say there's no time you have in common. And that's one where you send somebody a message and say, hey, sorry, it doesn't look like we have a time in common. Maybe we can meet for coffee or something like that. There's an available button here. What that available button does is it lets you say, for instance, if I go over back to me as a blogger, so bloggers also had the same kind of schedule. You can see that I now have BloggerBridge on my schedule. If I am not, I have to leave early on the first day, so I'm not going to be available for these slots. I can go here and I can say, I am not available. Or maybe I've got a meeting with somebody else already set up outside of speed networking. I can just block those off and then they will just show as not available. That's what the available button is for. I can reserve those things, and if I later become available because that meeting cancels, I just go in here and I clear them. That's really all that speed networking is, just that simple. You as a blogger are going to go look for companies, you're going to invite yourself to companies, you're going to respond to their invitations, you're going to accept their invitations, they're going to accept yours. Occasionally they will decline it. That will happen as well. More often than not, just so you know, companies will not always respond to you when you invite them. And I think it's probably more the rule than not that companies won't get back to everybody who sends them an invitation. There's just a lot of things going on. Remember, there's fewer of them than there are of you. Yeah, Michelle.
Just to piggyback on that too, Chris, I want to reiterate that the companies do tend to do this very last minute, everyone. So please do not panic if you're not hearing from them right away after September 5th. It does take them some time to go in and learn the system as well. Some of them have been to many, many conferences and understand, but a lot of times they will not get back to you until very close to the event. So do not be surprised if you don't hear from them for a while. So
I would say that a third of the companies will have their schedules pretty well set up 2 weeks beforehand. A third of the companies will walk into the event and say, what's this speed networking? And and the other third are going to be somewhere in between. And there will actually potentially be. We had this a number of times where there will be people who will sign up as companies the day of the event, and so it even we will have people who will schedule events between the first and second speed networking events. So it's a little chaotic, but so it just means pay attention to your email because you'll get that email that says you have an invite.
Correct. And then continue to go in too leading up to the event because we are continually adding companies. So you don't
Yep.
want to just go in on the 5th and not revisit, BloggerBridge again. Like be sure to please go in, every couple days or once a week leading up to the event. I would highly recommend that. Quick
Yeah,
question.
again, so this set of companies right now are already signed up. Typically, I would expect, and Michelle, you can tell me if I'm wrong, I would usually expect about 50% more between now and the event just because of where we are, but we'll have to see.
Right.
It always depends. This is traditionally, I don't know what's going to be this year, but the last 2 years, the European event has been the largest TBEX of the year of the three. And I'm expecting that this year. Are you expecting that as well, Michelle?
Right now, yes. I mean, we are getting very, very close to 600 attendees. So this is our biggest event this year, which is fantastic. It's going to be wonderful. Very exciting.
Should be a great event. I'll wait, Michelle, you to let me know if there are any more questions about this part. Just briefly, there's two other things I want to show you about BloggerBridge to know about. One is we talked about schedules, which will help you for the other 365 days a year. The other two things that are available the other 365 days a year or right now is opportunities. You can see opportunities in the system. You won't see all the opportunities. You have to qualify for some of these. But these are different things that are going on in the system where people are looking to work with bloggers, including right now Alcatraz Cruises, some things going on. This is a specific pre or post TBEX travel partner opportunity that you may or may not see depending on your profile, that is with a rental car company. And then there's some tours in various cities with Byte Mojo and things. This will change over time. If you're in the BloggerBridge system, we send out a newsletter about once a month. I think I'm sending out one today or tomorrow, in fact, that highlights some of these opportunities, so pay attention for that. And then a new feature is there are also offers in the system that will save you money on something. Some of these are affiliate offers, just so you know, and some of these are not, like the travel insurance professional traveler program is actually not an affiliate program. I wish it were, but it just happens to be a really cool way to save some money on travel insurance that I used that I thought you might be interested in, and this is through Allianz. And so pay attention to offers there. We'll try and find more and more offers that will save you some money. We've got a couple web hosting companies, for instance, that want to give us a deal where you can save some money, things like that. So pay attention to that. Those are also available for you. Those are also available for your friends too, as far as that goes. There's no qualification for these particular offers. With that, we have reached the end of the content portion of our webinar, and now we will take questions.
All right, I have a few sitting here. Okay, this question. We are a couple of travel bloggers, so I'm assuming a couple blogger,
Yep.
but each one has their own blog. As
Yep.
we usually travel together, can we complete the bios with info of two of us, as we usually pitch? So they pitch as a couple.
So we get this question every time. I'm glad you asked it. So you will each have a different BloggerBridge account because each registrant will have a different account. You can choose to use only one of those accounts to sign up for speed networking, for instance. Usually what we would do at that point is you could either put both blogs in both accounts, or you could cross-link them from your bio. I think you're probably better off putting both blogs in both accounts. And then you have to decide as a couple, are you going to do your meetings together or are you going to divide and conquer? And that is a very personal decision. Some couples do one and some couples do the other.
Okay. All right. Someone was asking about, I think they saw the screen where it said add a chair, but that's for the sponsors. That doesn't relate
Yeah,
to.
so just so you know what that is, if you are a company, and you are only bringing one person, we recommend you only meet with one person at a time. But if you're bringing a second person, then you can add a chair basically during that particular session, and then you have more slots available. So when you sit down at a company, quite often there are two people, and you have to figure out which one you're going to talk to, and they often will have printed out this, and you just look for the one that has your picture. So, but that's what that's for. It's for helping them manage how many different appointments. Do they want 12 appointments per speed networking, or do they want 24? There are occasionally companies that will choose to meet with two people at a time. We don't recommend it. We'll be talking to them about that during their speed networking webinar.
Great. Okay, Chris, we have a question. Is there a limit of companies I can invite?
Nope. Well, yes. You can only invite every company once, and so the limit of the number of companies you invite is the number of companies. Don't do that, though. Don't just invite every company. Think about which companies you want to meet with.
Okay, I think, let me go back, excuse me, I know there was a question a little while ago. Okay, gentlemen was asking, they have a blog that they've been running for years. Hundreds of good posts by an avid blogger, but we've never done anything with it. The writing is good, but we're just getting started and trying to use it, increase the traffic, etc. Our stats are still low because the writer has never bothered to promote. I'm trying to promote. Any advice on what we should do before the conference?
Get the stats up if possible. I mean, that takes time, but you know, all the different ways that one gets the stats up. That's SEO, which takes time. You know, making sure you're targeting the right keywords. That's social media. That is cross-posting and guest posting to other accounts to build up your traffic. That is a great topic and something that you can learn more about at TBEX. So we'll be talking more about that at the conference, all sorts of different sessions. Typically, and I haven't seen the schedule this time, we'll talk about, you know, specifically how to use Pinterest to get traffic, how to use whatever. Yeah, that's a thing that's hard to cover in a few minutes on a webinar, and it's a great reason to go to a travel blogging conference.
I agree, exactly. Okay, we have a question. How do we reach out specifically to someone we really want to meet with because of unique expertise in the destination? So,
good question. I'm glad you asked that. When we go here to the company, for instance, we saw two things. I sent them an invitation, but I can also send them a message. And so that's a chance to say, by the way, I just sent you an invitation. This is why I think you should meet with me. So, for instance, I did a pitch to Germany last year because this year was the anniversary for their the Reformation anniversary, the 500th anniversary of the Reformation. So I sent them a pitch and said, by the way, you know, here are the stats we've done for shows on Germany. I'm half German. I'm Lutheran. You know, I think I'm your guy, and they responded to that. But if you have some pitch like that, like Ireland, you know, hey, I'm Irish. My audience loves Irish content. See some examples of posts I've written and how many, you know, views I got or things like that. Yeah, absolutely use the message and get in front of people a reason why they should meet with you. And when you click the invite button, I believe you should have a reason why they should meet with you anyway, whether you send message or not.
Exactly. On that note,
so don't do this. Actually, don't do this. Do not. You will embarrass me, and you'll embarrass TBEX, and you'll embarrass yourself if you do this. Do not go up to the table and say to the company, what do you do? I will be ashamed of you if you do that. You have done your homework. When you walk up to this company, you have chosen them for a reason, and that there's a reason why you think that they should meet with you. Do not go up to a company and say, what do you do? If you've done that, you're doing it wrong.
Agreed. Very good advice, Chris. I think everyone is, you know, needs to do their homework on both ends as well as the companies do. They do their homework.
Yeah, we're going to say that same thing to the companies.
Also, just to remind everyone again, with when they're sending out invites and you know, companies maybe not getting back to them, the companies are also waiting a little bit till the end to also see all the bloggers that are attending and making sure that the invites they accept are the right fit. So they want to see, you know, who they can pick and who's right for them. So it's, you know, it takes some time. Doesn't
Yeah,
happen
they
overnight.
have a little harder job in the sense that if they wait too long, some of the people they want to meet with schedules will fill up. So we're going to tell that to them, tell them to start earlier because there will definitely be some people they want to meet with who um, they'll say, we want to meet with you. And they'll say, too bad, so sad. It's my schedule's full.
Yes.
So some
Okay.
schedules will fill up for bloggers and some bloggers will not get any appointments. I mean, again, it won't be evenly distributed and don't worry about that. Plenty of time to meet with these companies. And even if it's your first TBEX, um, you know, talk to me. Even if you're shy, I am shy. I'm an introvert, but you can learn to network with these people. But first, think about what it is that makes you you, what it makes you different, and then figure out then which companies then that is of value to.
Wonderful. Well, I think we have covered it all, Chris. I think you did a
Great.
fabulous job. Thank you. I just want to reiterate a couple things, guys. Just looking for that email that should be coming to you around September 4th. Once we input all of you into the system, it will remind you which email you need to use to register, not register, or even log in. So look for that because that tends to be the probably #1 problem we get and question we get. I can't log in. Which email am I supposed to use? So look for that to come from the system once we input you. And September 5th, I would go in and start playing around, start getting everything updated and your profile set so it's top notch when the companies see you.
And the other thing you should know is all emails will come from admin@bloggerbridge.com. And so if you want to whitelist that email address, then that will save you some problems. I'm going to end the recording of this at this point, and then I'll stick around and answer questions for anybody who wants to.